Today's tying tips video, we're covering dumbbell eyes and like all the other options for stuff like this. First, I really want to thank you guys for being so strong on the comment section. Doing these giveaways has been a lot of fun. So just like always, man, it is raining like crazy outside. I hope you can't hear that. So just like always, leave a comment in the description of this video. I'll randomly pick a winner and send you some flies and stickers or something like that. So yeah, leave a comment below. So the winner of this video's flies, which is the previous video you follow, is Greg Mulhern. Mulhern? Probably butchered your last name. My apologies. Greg, shoot me an email and I will get a care package out to you ASAP. For your chance to win on this video, leave a comment and like the video and I'll send somebody a random care package. Little side note, I had my first speaking engagement / tying class like in person not long ago in Memphis. It was a lot of fun, turned out to be great. It's a good group of people down there and I got my Memphis on. If your club is in the Midwest in that close to Missouri, Arkansas kind of area, let me know. I'd love to come to a tying class, speak to your group, whatever. We have a lot of fun. So like I said, today's video is going to be a dumbbell eyes video. Not only a dumbbell eyes video, but like a few different types of these things. We're actually going to turn this into a two-part video. We're going to talk about how to orient the dumbbell eyes on the hook and stuff like that. Orient? We're going to talk orientation of the dumbbell eyes and where they need to be on the hook for, you know, certain actions and stuff like that and how to tie these things in. The next video, we're going to build a head around the dumbbell eyes out of deer hair and then maybe laser dub and, you know, whatever else. So 2 parts to this video. The next one will come in a few weeks and well, yeah, it'll be good stuff. So first things first, there are several kinds of dumbbell eyes. You have the regular lead dumbbell eyes that don't have any paint on them, which I don't know. I never ever use those anymore. I immediately jump to the double pupil eyed dumbbell eyes. That's a mouthful. I like the extra separation of the pupil and another color between 2 different colors. There's typically 3 colors on those double pupil eyes. They're really good, and they're basically the only actual dumbbell eyes I use anymore. Another option are eyeballs with a Z. I'm not 100% sure if these are tungsten or what they're made out of, but they are definitely not lead. They're heavier per size than the lead eyes. They're super slick. They're pretty cool. I went on a tear of tying with these things a long time ago. They're a little wider. They would stick out on a head a little farther. Just another option. I would say the best thing you're going to get out of them is a little extra weight, but you know, it's not going to be much. And the extreme opposite are aluminum sea eyes. I don't know why they call them. I know you heard that. It's 1:30 in the afternoon and it looks like it is 8 o'clock at night. The aluminum sea eyes are larger per size, but they're lighter because they're aluminum. So you can put bigger eyes on a bigger fly and you don't have that ton of weight that, you know, you would normally put if you put huge lead eyes or huge eyeballs on a big fly. You're adding a lot of extra weight. They also have a cavity that will hold eyes. They come with little stick-on eyes, but they're just like, you know, little eyes. It's not much. But you can put like dead meat custom eyes in those eyes, or you can put like Flyman dragon eyes in them. They're pretty cool. And like I said, you can get away with having a bigger eye on a big fly without adding a bunch of extra weight. Now, the one thing for some crazy reason I couldn't come up with in my whole studio, I've got a fly shop back here worth of worth of stuff, you know. But I don't have any bead chains anywhere in here. I turned this place upside down, can't find any. My apologies. But bead chain eyes are really, really good for adding little to no weight, but still getting that effect of having some eyes that are separate from the body. You see bead chain eyes used a lot on like flats flies, bonefish, and some redfish, stuff like that. But very little weight. They will help keel a little bit, which we'll get into later in the video. But they will help the fly keel just a little bit or turn. They're not going to force it, so you have to watch how you're tying. But yeah, they're great. They tie in just like these eyes. Yeah, it's the same process, just basically weightless. Now, where I feel people probably get most confused on dumbbell eyes is the orientation. Be it if the eyes are tied on top, how the fly is going to ride, and if they're tied on the bottom, how the fly is going to ride. So just to kind of put that to bed, dumbbell eyes tied on top will make the fly flip over. Period. So if you tie the eyes on top of the hook, the fly will flip over and ride like this. Think a clouser minnow. It's the easiest one. That's where my mind goes immediately. That's what a clouser minnow does. If you tie the eyes on the bottom side of the hook, the fly will ride true. Okay, all things considered, the fly will ride true. It will ride hook point down, and you'll go from there. This is typically the way eyes are tied whenever you're going to build a head around them. Which we're going to cover in the next video. But just think about it this way. If they're tied on top of the hook, it's going to flip over. If they're tied on bottom of the hook, it's going to ride true. So to get up close and show you the difference, these eyes are tied on bottom of the hook. These eyes are tied on top of the hook. This fly will swim true. It'll swim just like this, hook point down. This fly will flip over like this and swim hook point up. So this is how they will orient. So once you've decided that you want a fly that's going to flip over and ride hook point up, so just like we talked a second ago, you're going to tie those eyes on top of the hook, but you still have options on how much swim you're going to get out of that. Where you position your eyes, hang on, let me get a big huge hook. So I got a big old huge hook here. The closer you position the eyes to the eye of the hook, the more jig you will get out of that fly. Okay, so if you want a lot of jig, put it right on the eye of the hook. It'll go straight down a lot quicker. If you don't want quite as much jig, scoot the eye back a little bit and you'll get more of an up and down action versus a jigging action. Pretty easy. So in this instance, I have this eye that's pretty close to the eye of the hook, and I have this eye that's scooted back away from the eye of the hook. This fly will jig more than this fly. This fly will run a little bit more smooth, but you're still going to get a jig out of it. But if you want to get a little bit more extreme on how hard your fly is going to jig, the best way to do it is to tie it on a jig hook. So these eyes are tied on a Gamakatsu 60-degree jig hook. So the eyes on this jig hook will get a lot more jig than the eyes on this hook because of the angle the line is coming from. I mean, hence the name, it's a jig hook. So when you start talking about adding material to these hooks, this is where everything obviously changes. When you're talking a bare hook, this is the extreme of everything. This is going to react a lot more without materials on it. So I have two different flies here. I have just a little clouser. Dumbbell eyes are tied on top of the hook, so it's going to flip over and it's going to ride hook point up. Right here, I have a Late Night with Wanda, which is a great name for a fly. I mean, come on. KK did it right. You can get this at Montana Fly Company. Anyway, this fly is tied on a jig hook with dumbbell eyes tied on the bottom of it, just like you would. So these both are gonna jig. This fly, however, has so much more material than this fly. This fly will sink way faster than this fly will. Faster. Straight to the bottom. You have to think of materials as a parachute. I've said it before in other tying tips videos. The more material you put on a hook, the more it's going to take to sink that fly, get that fly down. So when you start to think about orientation and how quick you want your fly to get down, don't only think about like the amount of materials you use, but what kind of materials you use, where you put the eyes, and all that stuff. All this stuff will play into how quick the fly is gonna get down. The heavier the dumbbell eye and the lighter the material, the faster it's gonna get to the bottom, period. So I have the vise at a weird angle here, but it's gonna be a really good angle to show you how to tie these dumbbell eyes in. We're gonna put the dumbbell eye right where we want it to land and give it a couple figure 8 wraps. Okay, so we have a wrap that goes over and around that way, and a wrap that goes over and around that way. That's just gonna cinch it in and get it where we want it. We constantly want to use the most thread pressure we can possibly use. Like, you're right at the point of breaking your thread with every single wrap. So the next step, we're gonna go underneath the eyes, but on top of the hook. Sounds kind of weird, but it'll make sense. We're gonna bring our thread up, and we're gonna stay on top of the hook, but underneath the eye. Okay? Same thing on the back side, on top of the hook, but underneath the eye. And after you've made a few wraps, give it a good pull. Make a few more wraps. Give it a good pull. Then wrap it down onto the shank of the hook. So in effect, what you're doing with the wraps that go underneath the eye is squeezing the thread that has gone over and around the hook and the eye, just squeezing it and making it tighter as well. So everything gets tighter whenever you do that. You're gonna do this style with all the eyes we talk about in this video. So just to head things off, I know I'm gonna get a lot of questions about using glue or UV resin to help hold the eyeballs on the hook and keep them from spinning. I really don't use either. Sometimes I might, but it's really rare. What I've kind of figured out is once these eyeballs kind of break and they're gonna roll, they're gonna roll. You can put as much UV resin on there as you want. I don't want to say that. You could put a whole glob of UV resin on there and probably stay really well. But then you take away a lot of stuff. That just won't work. I don't recommend that. But what I have figured out is you have to use that hard thread pressure. Just right at the breaking point of your thread. Know the breaking point of your thread and get there and use that, and they'll stay really, really well. They don't spin very often on me at all. Use heavy thread. Stay away from gel spun. It's pretty slick to really, really bind this stuff down. You want some stretch. I just stay away from gel spun, but use some really good thick thread and really, really crank on those things. So that's about it on the first video of the dumbbell eyes. The next video, which will come out in a couple weeks, will be building heads around these things. We're gonna cover deer hair, we're gonna cover laser dub and stuff like that. That's gonna be a fun video. So yeah, I think we're done.